Okay, as a reporter, as a taker inner that who then regurgitates information. No, I try to think of different ways to say the same thing, and no, it forces me to be creative. That's just my opinion. But no, I'm doing my YouTube channel, and I genuinely do. I think the news is the coolest, but it's like my news, like things that are going on, like that I think are interesting. Okay, so I have my keys here. I got a new car, is what I'm saying. So it goes on my keychain, and look at that, dude. I just want to send a shout out to Ducati. That's what I'm saying. Shout out to Ducati. I look, no one's gonna believe me, but I had a dream. I was like, I feel like Ducati realizes how important history is, and they want to go down in the history books as being the first solid state battery vehicle manufacturer to make a production vehicle using solid state batteries. No, I don't know if that's them, but I saw their latest solid state battery motorcycle, and I was like, oh my gosh, that is the juiciest. No, this car is sweet, guys, is what I'm saying. So, you know, they should do this for every brand. And look, my point is, AI could take, look, I think AI, where does AI, like a real world example? So there's a channel I follow a lot of channels. I watch a lot of YouTube for a decade and a half plus. But what I'm saying, because I was a content consumer before I was a content creator. No, I don't know if you guys realize, like, look, no, I think most people, I don't know, I take it back, I'm just speaking for myself. Like, I can only know if what I'm saying is true for me. You guys don't have to agree with me. Okay, there, that was my rant. But all I'm saying is, as someone who consumes content, I think AI and Reddy's rides, look, because I want to see him do those videos that he reviews cars, because like genuinely, like I'm like, when I look at cars, the first thing I do is I go on YouTube and I'm like, who owns it, who has long-term experiences with it, and then if I can't find that, then I'm like, who has done a review, who's like a professional reviewer. But definitely to me, I'm just saying, there's a difference between the professional reviewer and the person who genuinely bought the item and is using it day in, day out. So I'm saying shout out to Hyundai. This is a shameless plug, but if you guys wanted to loan me an XRT, and I would really put it to use out here in the desert. Look, I know you guys are trying to launch one of those on the moon or whatever planet. Look, information is out there, Hyundai, okay? Kawasaki's not the only company making unidentified flying objects. Shame on you guys. I've been watching these government officials speak about this stuff. I say, shame on you guys. Look, just because, I'm just kidding, okay? I don't know if Kawasaki or Hyundai are planning on launching, but I know Tesla, the Teslarari guy, he already launched his car that's trying to go to Mars. Shout out to Elon. Look, I think it's cool you're doing a new political party. I would call it the Constitutional Party. I know there's already a Constitutional Party, but I genuinely do feel like there should be a party where you can have disagreements, but at the end, it's, you know, there's certain things that you agree upon that shouldn't be violated. You know, maybe like the Bill of Rights. And all I'm saying is those people, I think, represent a large portion of the American public. That's just my opinion. You know, there's the vocal, but there's your vocal two sides. And then, you know, you have your Communist Party and your Green Party, and then I think your Constitutional Party. But what I'm saying is, I think you're left with all the rest of the people who are like, look, we can disagree, but, you know, there should be basic rules that we follow, and those should be called laws. And I remember it was the clearest for me. I was listening to Spangle. Shout out to Spangle. They do great music, but they were like, oh, and by the way, I think everyone should have like a teeny monitor. This is like a 5-inch monitor I'm holding in my hands. But the whole point is the laws. You know, like think about it with traffic laws. Like if everyone just decided to go all the time, no one would get anywhere. And I think that's a metaphor for life. I think there are laws that help keep society together. and that they should be agreed upon by everyone. And if not agreed upon, at the very least, that is the goal, maybe? Because, I realize some people don't live in a free country of the United States of America. So, no, I'm grateful to be here. But I do think that when people say, is America turning into a third world country? I'm like, I can't help but kind of be like, I don't know how I feel about that. No, it's kind of true. Look, it's like, I don't know. What I would say, the gap between the people who have and don't have. And this is where, I said, full disclosure, I read the Communist Manifesto in college. Okay, that was like 25 years ago. But what I'm saying is the concepts, they do make sense. So it's like maybe there is something waiting at the end of consumerism. Like, when you've exhausted yourself past point of even you being able to see who you are, and with just buying and having new, and then maybe there is something at the end of that where you find yourself. I don't know. You find meaning in yourself, or you're forced to. Or I would like to believe that everyone, has a moment where you're like, what, is this really making me happy? I absolutely love being here on YouTube. And that's why I say, look, I'm here, even though I don't make any money, because I enjoy it. And I think that's how Unix, I think that's the concept as well. It's open source. They're like, how are you going to make money at open source? That's something that was being contemplated, I remember, 25 years ago. And I know I was probably at the tail end of people who are discussing these operating system, concepts. But what I'm saying is, it made sense to me. I'm like, look, at the end of the day, everyone's just going to do what they want to do. And so if we just paid everyone well, I don't mean millions, billions of dollars. I mean, everyone just got paid well, because I do think that there is an argument for that. Okay, so that's all I got. Sorry, I don't want to make it political, but all I'm saying is, look, I appreciate being here, and I hope it shows. I've been here for 15 years plus, consuming, creating. Granted, I've been pushing harder now. No, because I realize the value in just 5-10 minutes a day, and just being able to vocalize things you saw that are cool. I think that's why news is cool. No, but back to the Reddy's ride. So he could do, what if AI allowed him, not him physically, because I don't think he could, but go through all those dealerships and do his Reddy's rides takes with every single car? Because also, I'm like, look, why can't car manufacturers do a video where you're like, I want to see every trim level, but in a video form, that's 20-30 minutes. If I'm buying a car, it's like, dude, I'm shocked by how little content vehicle manufacturers have out there. And really, cars are a commodity that almost, I feel like everyone has this idea of what they want. So at the very least, you can all I'm saying is, I think the market, some people think it's oversaturated, was it Iron Goose? I think it's just getting started. I think we're just starting to realize how much space we can save by going electric. And I want to see a bathroom in a small vehicle. Why is that not a thing? Am I the only person who when you gotta go, you gotta go? No one else is like that. I would welcome having a restroom in my vehicle. I'm like, what is going on here? It's 2025, guys. Elon's sending a car to Mars, and we can't figure out how to put a bathroom in a car. The age-old dilemma. How do we service ourselves, when we gotta go potty? And my sons, they got diapers, but I still want to consider myself a young man. I don't want to be going pee-pee and the poo-poo in my pants, okay? Why can't I have a thing here? That's why I say shout out to Harrison Ford, that toilet seat you're making. I'm like, I got one in the center of my Ioniq 5. That's a joke. I'm saying when you were a kid, they probably put you there on the center of the console, and you release the bowels because somebody said, you know what, let me show you how fast this Tesla Rari is. No, shout out to him. I heard, he drives a Porsche. I'm like, dang, son, look, I didn't realize how fast that guy in Sorry, in what was that Disney the cop movie, The Sloth? He's like, he works at the DMV and he's so slow. I'm like, shout out to that guy, bro. That is the coolest. He drives the coolest car. Like he's my hero. Like as a cartoon character, all I'm saying is he's my hero. You know, I want to work at the DMV. Not to be rude, just be like, look, I like to move extremely slowly here, guys. I'm gonna be typing in each key character here. It's gonna take me a few minutes. You know, I'm just look. The voices are just the person. Like, okay, guys. No, I'm trying to like vary my range in speaking ability, but I realize it is very difficult. No, for me, I'm not talking for anyone else. Okay, look, he's just like on this viewfinder. No, shout out to anyone who makes operating systems. Now, shameless plug, I really do, going back full circle, the Ducati solid state battery motorcycle. I can't believe it. Leave it to Ducati to be the company that's like puts their name down in the historical record as the first company to put out a solid state battery vehicle. Like, gosh, dude. So shout out to Ducati. I mean, I've never ridden a Ducati, but I mean, that's amazing. I hope the solid state batteries, I really do feel like solid state batteries are going to show just how amazing riding a motorcycle can be again over for everyone, for even me. I'm just saying, once that BMW C2, the little like scooter motorcycle, I'm like, dude, that thing is so sweet. You know, the C4, the CE404, that reminds me of, I was like, when I first saw it, there's shout out to the gentleman in Florida. He's got a YouTube channel. I watched his video. I was like, because I really want this. To me, when I first looked at it, I was like, that's like a mini Judge Dredd motorcycle. You know, like the motorcycle in the shout out to Carl Urban. No, he's a great actor. Look, now I'm like, look, I look up to Sabi Spark. I do. I'm like, look, now I'm just gonna be like, look, I'm just gonna say how I feel. Like, what's the problem here, guys? And, you know, like I'm just like, no, shout out to her. I think her music is amazing. Now I'm just like, whoever pops into my head, I'm like, look. Now I'm gonna say I appreciate you. Like, look, I really do feel like Miss Click. To me, look, look. We all come into this world at a different time and moment and age, but I was like, wow, you know, she was like, no, she was crying, like about a video game character release or a review. All I'm saying is I don't remember the game. I just remember like just being like, wow, this person. Just puts it all out there. That's crazy. No, like amazing. Like an example of what to aspire to be. Thank you for being so cool. I always thought it would be cool to be able to work from home. You know, it's like my office. It's like 3 feet from my bathroom. No, but that's what I'm saying. Look at the vehicle. Look, in the profession I was in, the vehicle. Your vehicle was your office. Your vehicle was where you spent 40 plus hours. I was gonna say a week, but no, a day, a week. Sometimes it feels like that. Shout out to anyone out there who's just like, am I at work or am I home? I don't know. When I'm at home, I'm thinking about work. No, it's early in the morning. So now I'm thinking about, you know, cool things on YouTube. So that's where I'm expanding. I do want to send a shout out to Harrison Ford and say, look, I think this custom toilet seat you're having Jay Leno do. I was attempting to make a joke that, you know, the armrest in the center of a Ioniq 5 is suspiciously like a toilet seat for a child. No, I do think electric cars are really cool. So shout out to Harrison Ford. I don't know if you've tried driving an electric car. I know you're a Porsche guy. Porsche guy. I know. That's where I think. Look, I'm a Porsche guy too. My dad, he was a big fan of driving around in Porsches and Cadillacs. Ironically, he's like either big or he's like big American car or no. He didn't say that. But I'm just saying like that was his style. So all I'm saying is thank you, Miss Click, for showing me something, and that I could then be like, you know what, that person is courageous. Let me try that too. Thank you. I don't know. I'm just trying to do this voice acting. Maybe I'm like, look, I think it's too complicated for me to. No, I'm just. Okay, let me go back here. No, I just get caught up in the moment. No, I don't know, guys. I just like being silly. Okay, so that's where I'm at. Let me turn this down. But shout out to Ducati. No, this is news. Going back to my news here, guys. Solid state battery vehicles. I hope BMW do that. I really do, because if you made a slightly larger version of the CE04, I think that would be awesome. Gosh. Okay, let's see this viewfinder game. Look, I just have you zoomed in there because I'm trying this different technique here, guys. Now I can zoom out a little bit. Here. Okay, so I just got that cuisine art from Gamefly yesterday. I can't believe that, dude. And if anyone, so look, I'm gonna say, I know no one's asking, but if anyone asked, I'm like, I absolutely think Gamefly is worth it, because the games that you're not able to play or by downloading, by being a member of, look, we've been members of Game Pass and the PlayStation, I forget what it's called. They changed it. I don't remember. But what I'm saying is, that's great. I love it. And I end up still buying a bunch of games, because there's a bunch of games that don't end up, especially for PlayStation, you know, like the main sweet titles like Ghost of Tsushima. No, that was on there. So I think what you have to realize is, like, games come and go off of the subscription service. But me personally, like, if I just want to be able to play that game whenever I want, I don't want to be like, okay, is it on Game Pass? Is it not on Game Pass? I just buy the game. But then if I'm really into the game, that's where I'm like renting. And so shout out to Gamefly. No, I'm a customer, you know, but I'm just saying, like, I appreciate it. If someone's like, why do Gamefly when you can do, well, because sometimes I want the physical. I want to be sent the physical disc or cartridge or whatever it is. I think they still do like PS3, not PS, whatever. There's a Nintendo ones they have on there. And what I'm saying is they're smart. You're like, I just want to rent this game. If I don't like it, I'll just send it back. And if I do like it, then I'm like, well, then I just bought it at a discounted price because it was a rental. You know, I think Blockbuster used to do that too. Like, you physically went there. That's what I'm saying. And now they took the physical aspect out of it. I think it's good, though. I think it makes more sense maybe to have singular people delivering. All I'm saying is, Gamefly, what if you had your own delivery people too? You're like, let's take this to the next level. Can you imagine if, like, Gamefly was able to be like a 2-hour delivery anywhere in America? I'd be like, whoa. No, I'm just saying, like, that would be intense to me. I'd be like, no, because I saw on there, it's just reminding me of Walmart. They were like, you could have a Nintendo Switch 2 delivered to your house within 2 hours. I forget the time. I don't want to say, but imagine if it was like 2 hours. You're like, wow, I could have someone. No, it's someone who's like, sometimes you have limited mobility, like whether it's injuries or, you know, that's why. So shout out to anyone out there who has like sometimes difficulties, like just moving, just getting around, you know, like I do think the net is a concern. I wrote this, shout out to Sandra Bullock. Now he's like, look, now you have a platform where you're just sending shots out to everybody. I'm like, well, look, that's just how I roll. People are cool. I look up to them. I do. I'm like, the net was an impactful movie. So, like one of the classics. He's going down that nostalgic road. You know what I'm saying? He's just like, hey guys, I like to be all nostalgic about things. No, I think everyone should. So, recapping, I think everyone should get a small little monitor. That way you can make sure your console works. You know, like you're traveling. Maybe it doesn't have to be. This is a 5-inch. I don't know the brand. It's just like Amazon. So shout out to Amazon for having their own delivery. Is it drivers? They have their own delivery trucks, which I think is kind of cool. You know, it's like a different, you know, I appreciate UPS and FedEx and the U.S. Postal Service. So USPS and DHL. Those are the main ones here that I know of in America. No, I'm gonna do like a small one that's like a minute. So I'm just doing this last minute out here, guys, and I'm just saying America. Yeah, shout out to those guys. They were partly true, though. You know, world police, I guess, you know, we are kind of world police. You know, I think there's an obligation with technology. So whoever's flying these, now I'm coming full circle, whoever's flying these unidentified flying objects, if it's whether Kawasaki, I'm not pointing fingers, Suzuki, or he looked like Tesla. I know they're launched a car to Mars. I don't know if that's, shout out to that gentleman. Have you reached Mars yet? Elon, get on the phone with Elon and figure out whether that gentleman that's making his way to Mars on that drop top, let's see if he can radio back to us and see how he's doing. Has he arrived yet? Oh, that's all I'm saying. Thank you for letting me pretend. It's my little comedy hour. I'm just practicing. That was an impersonation of the president. Just generic, not individual, singular one. Look, I combine the voices. I would love to be a voice actor. So shout out to Miss Click for helping, inspiring me to, just to follow my dreams and my passions. You know, I said that person is vulnerable there on camera. Just being themselves and vocalizing how video games are really important part of life. And that's why I think video games should be in philosophy class. That would be the answer to the question. If they say, "Why? How is the console wars a philosophical question?" That is your answer. Thank you and welcome to Philosophy 101.